Huge changes have just dropped for Axie Infinity. These changes are so big that it has me questioning the future of this game. If you are playing Axie Infinity and you are relying on the amount that you can earn from this game, then this is a video that you need to watch, because there's so much packed in here with this new season they've dropped and the new changes that you need to know this stuff immediately. Are you ready? Well, hey there, crypto friends. Thanks again for joining me. So today we're talking all about Axie Infinity and some pretty massive changes that they just dropped on us for the brand new season and going forward with this game. These are so big. I'm over here like I don't know what to do. And there may be a lot of people that are in the same boat as me, questioning whether this game is still worth it to play, and if it really is just too expensive to even get started at this point with these changes that are dropped just today. So we're going to jump into all these brand new changes, what they mean for the game, whether they're going to be good or bad in the long term or in the short term, and why this may not necessarily be the best game to be putting your time into if you really need to play and earn, like a lot of the people who are depending on this game for their daily income. But before we get into all that, if you love games, NFTs, and earning money in crypto, then make sure you subscribe to my channel and smash that like button if you want to continue to earn and maximize your profits in gaming. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these changes, because these are pretty significant changes. When I got the word of this, I wasn't necessarily surprised that they made these changes, but they do affect a lot of people, I think, in a lot of different ways. So Season 18 of Axie Infinity just started, and there are some pretty notable changes. The very first one we'll say is that the season is now going to be 2 weeks longer than normal. So they've extended the seasons now, and you'll have extra gameplay and extra time to be able to earn all the different rewards, in particular in PvP. And they have definitely pushed the rewards more towards the PvP side. I'm going to talk about why in just a second. But when it comes down to how much you can still earn in this game, they've effectively cut that down by half. Whack, whack, chop, chop. They just chopped it all up. So now when it comes down to how much you can earn on the daily, they have limited that in the PvE scenario. So when you're going and you're doing your adventures, right, to where before it was 100 SLP per day if you completed that whole adventure circuit. Now they're cutting that to 50. In the same kind of contrast for the daily quests, right? These are like your daily quests to be able to complete things. They have cut that from 50 to 25 SLP per day. So this significantly impacts the amount of money that somebody could be making per hour, whereas a top skilled player could be making anywhere between $9 to $15 an hour. Now you're looking at a rate cut here of almost 50%, we'll say. They have definitely, in kind of contrast to try and apparently help with this problem, they've increased the PvP rewards. And the reason why they've done this is because the PvE type of stuff, the adventure stuff, is a lot easier to bot, which makes a ton of sense. I completely understand that that is the case. You know, you have this very easily bottable situation where someone could just have a bot, put it on repeat, and they'll be able to get the maximum daily requests and PvE rewards every day. And so it was a pretty easy situation to bot. Now PvP is a much harder situation. You can't really bot it as effectively as you could with the PvE stuff, which you know what you're going to you know what to expect, right? So it makes sense. What's going to happen here is that the PvP rewards are actually going to scale better as you are at higher ranks. So the better you are at PvP, the even better rewards there are going to be, right? So that I think they are going to help balance these out, and they think that this change will help balance that out. So there's not as many people botting for SLP, because the problem here it was that there was becoming an unbalance between SLP being minted and the amount of SLP being burned. So about 225 million SLP being minted, with only about 75 million being burned. And we know the main burn mechanic of SLP is breeding, right? And so that may be due to the fact that maybe with hitting over 1 million players in the game, they are reaching a point where not as many people are breeding. So they're not getting that sync there that they would normally get of SLP. And to that fact, they are actually looking at making adjustments to breeding in the long term. So that means that right now, I guess the AXS they say is a little bit high for the breeding cost in AXS, so that might possibly be reduced here in the future. And then the SLP is actually going to go up, so that it'll be actually maybe more costly to breed, and it may require more SLP as another way to kind of bring that sync down. Because what they're seeing right now, I think, is that a lot of people are essentially mining SLP on the daily, and then they're going and selling it in the open market, and it's not being necessarily burned. So they're not using it for breeding. And so I think when we have so many people coming in for breeding, that this kind of creates this problem. So you think about, okay, well, what are they going to be doing in the long term? This is all short-term stuff that they're going to be trying to do to help. Well, they've also talked about a sync for Axies themselves. So right now, the way it kind of works is that I won't necessarily call Axie Infinity a Ponzi scheme, because it doesn't really work like a traditional Ponzi. But the problem is that with the economy they have set up, people need to be able to buy Axies, right? And if you're using SLP, which is part of this whole cyclical system, to be able to breed Axies and to be able to make money in Axie Infinity, you're setting up these breeding, and you're using your SLP to breed, and then you got these Axies. Well, someone needs to come in to buy them. So essentially, you always have to have new players coming in to buy more Axies, and as more new players come in, they realize how the whole system works, that you need to really breed to be able to maximize your profits. Then they also are breeding, and then if new players don't keep coming in at an accelerated pace in this kind of upwards kind of pyramid type of way, then you have what we have in this situation, kind of where a lot of SLP is being created, but not enough being burnt, and there's not enough maybe players coming in that are buying new Axies and buying in, because Axie Infinity, we know, is incredibly expensive. Right? So it's over $1,000 at this point to just get one team together, and those are for some pretty basic low-end Axies. So a lot of you may be asking, is this game still going to be sustainable in the long run? And can I rely on this to be something dependable for me? A lot of people, over 60% of their players, are in the Philippines, and they play this game because it actually provides them more money per day and per hour than they can make in most jobs where they live. And this is something that we will see in a lot of somewhat impoverished nations where the earning potential for them there is very low. So Axie Infinity has done an amazing thing by helping these people, but this does effectively cut a lot of the revenue down by maybe even up to 50%. So with the fact that it's very expensive to get on board, and a lot of these people need scholarships because they can't afford it, and the fact that there aren't these syncs in place right now, we just need more and more people coming in playing this game. And if we don't continue to see the type of growth that Axie has seen here, the game may become unsustainable here in the very near future if they don't make some of these changes. In particular, I think the sync for Axies will make a lot of sense, and they've talked about this as being the way that you'll be able to get resources or be able to upgrade your existing Axies. You'll have to sacrifice or kill your cute little Axies to be able to get some of these things and upgrade your land or upgrade your existing Axies. So there is a lot going on with this ecosystem, and with some changes coming up. I think the changes that overall that they've made probably do help in the long term, but it'll be definitely difficult for people to adjust in the short term, in particular those that are relying on this as a daily income, and some of those rewards being cut in half can be quite detrimental, right? So now we're having scholarships having to be adjusted because of the amount of SLP you can really earn effectively every day. And now it's really going to come down to being very skill-based, right? So you have to be really good at PvP to be able to really continue to earn the same amount that you were earning before. And they will have increased rewards for PvP, so hopefully that will help. And they've expanded that to the top 1,000 people on the leaderboard. So definitely brush up on those PvP skills. If you have not been playing a lot of PvP with Axie, now is a time to get going. Otherwise, you may lose out on a really great play-to-earn opportunity here. So, well, hopefully you guys like this breakdown of these huge changes to Axie Infinity and my opinion on what it means for the game and what they really need to do in the long term to keep this sustainable. Because right now I think we do have a semi-Ponzi scheme feeling where you have to have new people come in and buy those Axies, and if they're not people coming in, then the price of Axies start to drop. People are not going to be breeding as much, SLP's not being burnt as much, and then in general that decreases the prices of the tokens, and then you have people not wanting to play as much because they can't earn as much, and therefore you have it going back around. So then there's not as many players, they're not breeding, so you have this very cyclical kind of domino effect that can happen here. And I would hate to see such a great game and great team have that happen. So hopefully they get into expanding the use case for Axies with new games, and hopefully get these sinks into place that will help with the long-term economy. Well, that's all we have for today, folks. Let me know what you think about this in the comments below. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Axie Infinity and its long-term viability. That's all we have for today. Until next time, stash that crypto, friends.